Hi, today I'd like to make some comments upon an important New Testament word, ecclesia, that we learn in the vocabulary of chapter 3 as the church. So let's begin. Let me clear up some misconceptions. The term ecclesia in the New Testament never refers to the church as a building. For example, down below from Romans 16:5, greet also the church that meets in their home. The people of God met originally in the homes of people, certainly perhaps wealthier members of the community that had a home large enough to contain a group. Another misconception, people also work with etymologies to argue that because ek means out, or out of, combined with the verb kaleo, that means I call, thus the church means the called out from the world and is used in very exclusive ways. Etymologies just change so quickly over the course of time. The example I've used here of breakfast. Originally, the term started off as breaking a fast from evening to morning. But we always think of breakfast as the first meal of the day, not breaking a fast. So when you call your children down to have breakfast and you say breakfast on the table, the Cheerios are out there, you're not thinking, or they're not thinking about breaking a fast. Now, in terms of the Old Testament, in the Septuagint, the term occurs 70 times for the translation of the Hebrew verb kahal, the root meaning to summon, and is regularly used for the assembly, the actual assembly of the people of God. And then it comes to mean the people of God called to existence by God and summoned by God. So in Judges 20, the leaders of all the people took place in the assembly. And here's the term en ecclesia, in their actual assembly or meeting, gathering together. Thus, the Hebrew kahal and the Greek ecclesia both mean the people of God who have been called by God, who are summoned together, and the sense is inclusive, not exclusive. The term means the unique vocation of being the people of God. Now, in the New Testament, there are three major uses, and you can see them on the screen. The universal church, a local church, or an actual gathering. So off to the left there, you'll see the terms, the Church of God, the Church of Christ. For the local church, a group of Christians who meet together in a specific locale, a geographical place. And then the third use refers to a physical meeting with a sense of fellowship and sharing. Now, for the first use, the universal church, Church of God or Church of Christ, you'll see the expression here, te ecclesia tou theou, the Church of God. Here comprised of both Jews and Greeks. To the Church of God in Corinth, there we have the expression te ecclesia tou theou, te use en Corintho. So to the Church of God, and then te use is a participle that means which is in, and then we have en Corintho, in Corinth. And then from Colossians 1, for the sake of his body, that is Jesus' body, which is the church. Ha estin he ecclesia. Secondly, a local church, that is a group of Christians who meet together in a geographical locale. And here we see in the salutation in Thessalonians, te ecclesia Thessalonikeon, to the church of God in Thessalonica. Below we see from Romans 16 mention of Phoebe, a minister or deacon of the church which is in Centrea. And here's the Greek here, diakonon tes ekklesias tes en kenkreas. And finally, to the churches in Galatia, tais ekklesiais tes Galatias. So we have reference here to a geographical locale where people are physically and geographically located. Then, for the actual gathering for worship and fellowship, here we have Paul's indictment of the Corinthians. For first of all, when you come together as a church or assembly, I hear that there are schisms in your midst, and in part, I believe it. So here's the Greek. I want to call attention to this. En ekklesia akuo schismata. We have the English verb schisms. So in the church, I hear of schisms in your midst. And then in 1 Corinthians 14, but in the church, I'd rather speak 5 intelligible words. And here Paul is talking about the actual gathering. He wants the services to be intelligible. And that's his concern at Corinth, where they're majoring on speaking in tongues, and Paul's concern is for the public witness of everybody speaking in tongues and nobody understanding. So, a couple of thoughts here. Paul came to think of the church in a much broader and inclusive sense than just simply separate or local assemblies. Each local assembly is part of the larger whole. So there are clear links between the church, ekklesia, and the body. Right here we have the word soma. And Paul's concern here is for the sense of belonging and also appreciation for others and what they bring to the community. And he himself is the head of the body, the church. So here we have body linked with church. And also in Colossians, for the sake of his body, which is the church. A link of body again with church. Now, one final thought here. Paul's concern in his letters is for both the unity and diversity. Unity does not mean sameness. Unity also means diversity. So I want to call attention to one verse here from 1 Corinthians 12, where Paul supports this major premise, unity and diversity. And in Latin, this is called an a fortiori argument, or you may be more familiar with the argument from the minor to the major. And here's what he says. For just as the body is one and has many members, and all the members of the body, though many, are one body, so it is with Christ. Now, notice what I've done here. I have an A, I have a B, then I have an A prime, and then I have a B prime. Paul supplies 3 parts, and he wants his readers to pick up the 4th part. For just as the body, and then part B, and notice the words in yellow. One, many, all, many, one. So there you have diversity, but unity. And then he says, so it is also with Christ. So notice the link here of body and Christ. And this is what he wants his readers to supply. So it is with Christ. He is both one and is identified with a church which has many members. So that's Paul's concern here for the Corinthians. With their over-fascination with the spectacular, particularly with speaking in tongues, and he's concerned that every member of the body has something to bring to the worshiping community. The body is one, the body is many, and he wants believers there to celebrate and evaluate each other and appreciate what each member brings to the table for the worshiping community.